affairs as well. And so, you know, you're that voice on those committees to let those individuals that are from outside of the community, let them know what's happening on campus. So I just want to kind of clarify that. Strategic planning is not a Board of Trustees committee, but it is a very important committee, and we do have students that are on that committee as well, but it's more like a task force. So again, not only are you representing just the students on campus, but alumni and everything else. And so we want to make sure we have students involved in all of that. So I just want to clarify that right quick.
Yes, and to the president's point, so to specifically clarify now that the candidates are not on the panel for vice president of organizational affairs, the vice president of organizational affairs sits on the all planning committee for the Board of Trustees. And you may say, well, what is that? That is your job as a candidate to research and find out, and you definitely have plenty of sources on campus that's still available to you to give you that information. But my advice is to learn the committees that the BCSG is connected to, period, whether you're responsible for serving on it in your role or not. And also something that we've learned this year that's important to do, the BCSG members can't do it all alone. They're still students, so they may need what's called a surrogate. To go and represent, so they can have, you have the ability to pick a student. And so having the skill to pick someone who could represent students well and articulate the messages of students well is important too. And so thank you for that, Dr. Evans. And again, to a note, we will ensure that that's a part of the student government training, that they have an opportunity to meet Board of Trustee members and hear from them directly. Well, what is our role, and then how can we work together? So we thank you again, Dr. Evans.
Let me add this real quick. I'm a research girl because I guess I have a journalism background. So even when whoever gets to be elected as vice president, excuse me, and you're part of that committee, you need to know what each person on those committees do. You need to research all those individuals because you need to ask for certain things. You need to know what they have in their back pockets, who they know, what they can do, what resources they have. So when you're on those committees and you're asking for things as a student, you need to know who to go to, who's the best person for that. So learn the individuals, read their bios, get to know them beyond just sitting there at meetings. Because when you're there to advocate for the students and what these individuals can do for you, what they know, who they know. You can be able to do a great ask that's going to end up very, very beneficial beyond your time there at the school. Because I know even for Terrance, he created an organization at the school that's still there before he started working there. It's been a long time ago. But you started an organization there that's still alive and well today. So it's also important. We don't really hold people to the fire to ask them to do something for us and use their muscle and their power and their connects to get it done. Not just sitting there, business as usual. So be mindful of that as well.
Thank you for that, Lisa. Lisa also works with tons of politicians, including myself. And so she's very familiar. She doesn't like politicians, she says, but she's very, she does love students though, but she's very aware of what it takes in that regard too. So we appreciate her sharing that. We want to get to know a little bit about these candidates and sort of what motivated them to run. I want to start with the treasurer candidate, and then we'll come up to the top of the ticket, our presidential candidate. Ms. Edwards, would you like to share with us today?
Hi, everybody. My name is Tyler Edwards. I'm a senior at Bloomfield College, and I was born and raised in Houston, New Jersey. I'm an English major, and I attended Bloomfield College because I attended the summer lead program before my freshman year began, and I love the way the professors engaged with us. They were actually invested in our education, and there were resources on campus. I love the way that the faculty and staff were engaged with us. I'm running for treasurer of BCSG because this is my last year attending Bloomfield College. I'm a senior and I want to leave a great mark. I've always been reserved, and I want to show everyone that I do have a voice, and I want to be a part of the student engagement on campus.
Thank you very much. And we're going to go on to Mr. Fernandez next.
Hi there. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tyra Fernandez. I am a current junior rising senior who was born and raised in South America, but migrated to the U.S. 10 years ago. I'm a biology major who's heavily involved in student life activities, holding the position of Vice President of Show Your Colors, the LGBTQ organization on campus, public relations on NSLS, and currently hold the position of a resident assistant. I've also served as treasurer of the Caribbean Students Organization as a freshman, in addition to the secretary of SYC for 2 consecutive years. I have also served as a college mentor for high school students ranging from sophomores to seniors in the city of Newark, in which I was able to educate them about environmental challenges facing the community as a whole, in addition to other problems. I chose to attend Bloomfield College out of the 22 other institutions I was accepted to because I was actively seeking a campus that was small in which I would be able to receive one-on-one engagement with professors. And also when I did a tour during the spring semester, I just felt like the feeling of like belonging, of like a familiar structure. I'm actively seeking a position in BCSG as a secretary to be more heavily involved in activities. I'm an attentive individual who is a very detailed note taker, so I would be able to complete minutes in a diligent manner as well as handle communication directed towards BCSG.
We thank you for that very much, Tyrone. And to the top of the ticket, we have Mr. Smith, who is the candidate for president.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kyle Smith. I am from Newark, New Jersey. I attended American History High School. Also at Bloomfield College, I am a sophomore. 9 times out of 10, you will see me around the campus running out of CSLE or running to the EOF building. I'm currently the president of Team Infinite, and I am just a student ambassador for the EOF and a psych major.
Thanks, Cal. Lisa, any initial questions for our candidates and any particular position that you would like to start with, or is it perhaps a question that would be appropriate for all?
Yeah, this is for all because I wanted to make sure I should have asked this question first last time. So my question to all of you is, tell us why you're running for the role you're running for, because I know somebody's running for treasurer, president, and secretary, and what is your platform? What are your plans? What's your platform, and how are you planning on taking that platform and implementing it if you're elected? We can start with Kyle. Why not?
All right. So first thing, the reason why I'm running for BCSG president honestly started off because of my peers and my friends, and family. For the whole school year, pretty much everyone was just getting into my head like, you should run for BCSG president. Me, in my head, I'm like, it's not really a sight for me. But then I had to realize I had to become comfortable with myself and be willing to take that chance for change. My plan for the BCSG, well, if I do win, is to honestly, get in touch with E-Board, figure out where we need to go with, and the platform is honestly the students. The students is my platform, and what they would like to see. How can they be willing to go out and vote and come out to these programs and just have a good time here at Bloomfield College and get their 4 years worth out of the school.
Okay, great. That was Kyle. Tyrone, you're running for secretary. So what is your platform while you're running for this office? And while you're running, what is your platform? And if you get elected, what are you going to do to implement that platform, your goals?
Okay, so the reason why I'm running is because being someone who's heavily engaged in campus activities, I've noticed that there's been a need for change in different areas that I always wanted to get a say so in being able to implement these changes, but I just felt as if me being a part of a club organization, it's just my voice wouldn't be heard enough. So my platform that I'm currently running for is for me to advocate for those whose voices often go unheard, increasing engagement between students in the community, and establishing a trustworthy relationship among students. Because I've realized that student engagement amongst individuals on campus, it's kind of low in a sense. We have students who are willing to participate, but it's I see an increase of engagement on campus, because I've often analyze individuals who haven't participated in the event, and it's just the responses I've been receiving is that they oftentimes feel uncomfortable in a sense. So it's I want to be able to listen to these individuals and take feedback and take it to the Board of Trustees and different committees on campus to find a way to implement change in a way that would receive more engagement, because I want everyone to feel welcome on campus, because that's the whole point of coming to college is to feel like welcome, to be feeling as if you're in the community and whatnot. And for someone to not feel that way kind of like breaks my heart. So I just want to make sure that I implement a change that would be beneficiary to those students.
Nice. And you're running for treasurer. So that's a big position. So Tyler, talk about why you're running for treasurer. What is your platform? Meaning, what is your, what are you running on? What promises are you making along the way in this campaign? And if you're elected, how will you carry out those promises?
I'm running for treasurer because I feel like I'm a great person who can be in charge of like the finances that the different clubs and organizations lead on campus. Although we are in school for our education, it is important that we have activities on campus to engage with each other. And if we don't have the proper funds, then that can't happen. If I am elected, I'll make sure I reach out to students and make sure that the proper fundraising is provided so that we can have those funds to provide the space and the time for students to engage with one another. And yeah, that's what I would do.
Okay, nice. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're gonna go to actually Tyrone, candidate for secretary. I'm just bringing up my note here. So I'm gonna ask you a similar question. It says here that one of your primary responsibilities is to execute the developed effective information management system and strategic communication plan, i.e. competitive edge communication, that is created by the BCSG Strategic Action Planning Committee. Part one of the question is, one, are you familiar with the Strategic Action Planning Committee? If not, what actions do you plan to take to familiarize yourself throughout this process? And what are your thoughts in terms of this effective information management system and a strategic communication plan for the Bloomfield College student government?
To be completely honest, I'm not that familiar with the strategic management committee, because it's like, although I'm heavily involved in student life on campus, I also have a part-time job and I'm also like a resident advisor. So like my time, the way I divide my time, it's kind of like in a limited manner. So it's like I have to plan out, when do I study, when do I go to class, and when do I have time to like participate in different like events on campus. But in order to educate myself, I do plan on, if I am elected, I plan to reach out to you personally to gain more insight and information upon the community, and to find ways in which I will be able to implement my own ideas and the ideas of students that I've received feedback from different like student activities that were held on campus, to be able to implement a change that would be rather effective and would increase engagement with students as a whole.
Thank you for that. So Ms. Edwards, to your role too, as the treasurer or the executive financial advisor, as the Constitution says, you have to function and work with two different boards. The Board of Trustees for the college. You heard President Evans talk a little bit about that. What do you think you're going to bring to that particular committee? And also in terms of coming up with fundraiser ideas. So it says to engage in searching for fundraiser ideas and professional venues to financially support events. So what are your plans around doing that? How do you plan to fundraise for BCSG and helping other student groups fundraise? And then what do you look to bring to the Board of Trustees in terms of your role on there?
A way that I can help fundraise would be fundraisers that the students would actually want to engage in. I feel like there's a lot of fundraising that's repetitive. So I feel like if we put our heads together and try to come up with different fundraising programs on campus, it'll allow students to come out more and actually want to participate in the fundraising. And the other question was, what do I look for in the trustee board?
In terms of serving on the Board of Trustees, yes.
I look forward to not only putting my thoughts and ideas in, but listening to everyone else's thoughts and ideas. Like, it's not just about me. We're all as a team. So it's important to hear out everyone's thoughts and opinions to come together and make one good plan that we all can agree to.
Al, we'll go to you next.
May you repeat the question for me, please?
So your question is similar but slightly different. You are, as the presidential candidate, if elected, serving as president, you have to serve on a few different committees. I want to talk about two in particular, but also get an idea of your familiarity with those two committees. The first one is you do too have to serve on the Board of Trustees, but they have several committees. Are you familiar with which committee, which Board of Trustees committee you would be serving on as the president?
No, not exactly, but whichever one I do hopefully end up on, I will
Mhm.
make sure to listen, thoroughly hear them out, and analyze what we can do better as a school.
Okay, so the committee is, because you don't have an appointed, I can share with you now. The committee that you would be responsible for serving on, which I think is befitting, is the Student Affairs Committee for the Board of Trustees. You also are responsible for chairing one planning committee for a campus-wide event. That's, for example, Black History Month. That could be Women's History Month. It could be Spring Formal, Spring Fest. Breaking those up into two parts. One, now that you know that the Student Affairs Committee for the Board of Trustees is what you'll be serving on, what can we expect from you in that capacity? And then also, which campus-wide planning committees are you looking to chair?
The first committee that I honestly would like to be on, honestly, is the Black History Month one. I feel like at our school, we are a predominantly Black institution, and we need to celebrate that a little bit more better than other months, honestly. Also, to answer your question, with serving on these committees, I have to honestly, like, always be myself and make sure that I'm doing this not just for me, but for the students also. And realize that anything that I say within these meetings, within these committees, could dictate our future here at Bloomfield College. So I gotta make sure and analyze that I don't make the wrong decision, because it will come back to haunt us. As in you can see, a few decisions has been made before.
Now, in terms of the Board of Trustees, are you familiar with any members that's on the Board of Trustees? And if not, now that you know you'll be on again the Student Affairs Committee, what actions are you going to take throughout this process to become more familiar? And again, are you connected to, or have you met any of our Board of Trustees to date?
I have met a few. The thing that I will honestly do within that committee of the trustee committees, make sure I'm emailing them every day, having certain meetings throughout the day to figure out what can we do better as a school, and just understanding what is they doing within their positions. What can I do as the BCSG president, hopefully to elevate it more.
I appreciate that. Lisa, any questions for the candidates?
Yeah, I do. So speaking of teams, we know that we live in a world of collaboration. Everybody talks about that buzzword, collaboration. So and this will be for each person. We can start with Kyle and go from Kyle to Tyler and Tyrone. What will all of you do to foster collaboration with the vice president, whoever's elected, the Board of Trustees, Student Affairs Committee, to ensure that students get precisely what they need in your respective roles, obviously. So how are you going to foster that collaboration across all of those lanes? We can start with you, Kyle.
As we know, Bloomfield College is very small. So what I would honestly do within this position, I will honestly set up twice out of the week a meeting with everyone. Either it's a group call or is it in person. We can sit here and figure out what's going on and how to go about it to foster the relationships. And then you have to, sometimes it will be an up and a down. That's why I learned with being a part of student organizations, you have to understand there's going to be ups and downs, but at the same time, you have to agree to disagree. So you have to be willing to hear someone else, even if we have a difference.
Nice. Okay, Kyla. Tyler. I'm thinking of Kyle. Tyler. I'm combining you and Tyrone's name. Tyler.
Just like Kyle said, like our college is small, so we can send out emails, even if we're not back on campus due to the coronavirus. We can do like Zoom calls and just basically put everyone's thoughts and opinions as one. It's all about compromising and listening to everyone's thoughts and ideas to basically come up with a big plan to make sure everything is met and we're all heard at the same time.
Tyrone?
Okay. Now, For me, I know that sometimes, like, okay, so I've attended like Chat and Chew with Dr. Evans when she first came on campus. I believe that was back in September or October, if I can recall. But so I would try.
When I meant president, I meant the president who's running for president. The vice presidents who are running for office too, but so include that as well. But go on, I'm sorry. So not just the president of the school, but just that guy. Okay, sorry about that. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt. Okay, go ahead.
I was just using that event like, as an example. So I would try to have like a similar event in which students will be able to collectively come out and have an open discussion where there's no judgment at all, and they would be able to like voice their opinions. And as a whole, I would try my hardest to get whoever is elected as president, treasurer, vice president, and whatnot to come together as a whole and draft various like resolutions that would be able to be the best fitting for students. And I would also create like a poll for students to be able to write in their own opinions, because I know that some students are often too shy to be able to voice their opinions because they have that fear of public speaking, and I want everyone to be heard. So for the students who would be unable to actively speak in the meeting, I would make sure to send out like a poll to the whole campus to say, okay, this is who the BCSG new current student body is, and we're very interested in knowing exactly what you guys want to see on campus, because I myself am an active listener and I love to implement ideas, and I'm always trying my hardest to actually like achieve the change that people want to see. So by doing so, I believe that we would best be able to find an idea that best accommodates to everyone, because it's like you would have so many varying opinions and recommendations for changes that could be implemented, and through this we may be able to like sort through them and find like common matters that exist between them, and by doing so we will be able to, as I mentioned earlier, implement changes that will be the best effective.
Okay, nice. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Lisa. So I want to go to the presidential candidate, Cal. One of your responsibilities is also to not just cultivate, but maintain, I want to use the proper term, productive partnership with the president of Bloomfield College and the Board of Trustees. And so we talked a little bit about the Board of Trustees, but what plans do you have for you and President Evans that should you become elected?
Oh, me and Dr. Evans going to be having a meeting every day. But,
Dr. Evans, you're in trouble. See what you got started, Dr. Evans? You should have never come on the Zoom.
I was already in trouble with Kyle, so it's all good. He's my friend.
It's all good, Dr. Evans. One thing I could say before I decided to even like look into, not to go off topic, before I start looking to go running for BCSG president, was building a relationship with the people that was the higher up. You know, my thing with Dr. Evans is always come to her because I feel like she's very open with us and willing to hear what the students want or we need. It was times this year early in the morning, I was getting up 8 o'clock in the morning just to have a meeting with her to see what can we do, not just as Team Infinite, but the whole Bloomfield College campus can do. So with that being said, the plans of going with plans or anything of that nature, you know, it's just all about once the election and stuff over, we could just go straight forward there. And after the day after the election, I could just set up a meeting with Dr. Evans.
So that's the approach, but you said that you've obviously had several meetings and conversations with Dr. Evans. There must be something on your mind in terms of, this is something I would like to propose and bring to the college. What would that be?
Honestly, what I would like to propose is not just change, but also understanding that there is a balance between fun and education. A lot of us get confused of like, okay, Bloomfield College is only labeled as the school that just is able to have a cookout, and then that's it. We don't do anything else around campus. And a lot of student organizations are not able to embrace what they stand for by their constitution and things of that nature.
And so your ask to the president would be what?
I would ask the president to honestly be willing to come in on meetings and see where we can make those type of changes.
Mm-hmm. In terms of your role with also overseeing the entire student government, and we've sort of clarified some lines, and you were a part of those votes as it relates to overseeing also a very popular governing entity here, the Greek Council. What do you plan to do as president to bridge the gap between Greek Council and student government and foster more of a working relationship?
honestly, we have to make sure we have a balance between both sides of the BCSG organizations and the Greeks. Also, we have to make sure that with working with the other side that, you know, we have to hear their opinions and how they feel on their end with certain things going on around the campus. So then maybe we could come up with a big program where both sides of the fence are working together. Or we could do little things around the campus that just trips off campus or anything of that nature, you know?
Mhm.
Lisa, we have some questions from
Yeah.
the chat. Any of them that we can present to the other candidates? Hal, we'll get
Yeah.
back to you. You're in the hot seat. You're running for president.
Hey, man, this is what we signed up for, right?
Well, that's always the most popular position. Somebody wrote to your question, your last question, Terrance. Great question. So yeah, there's some things we should talk about. So yeah, I did that already. Oh, you asked those questions, right? As previously stated, other. Oh, okay. This may be a question for Miss Edwards. I don't know if you answered this already. So as previously stated by other candidates, some students have complained about the lack of funding that organizations receive. We talked about that already, right, Semester?
But they didn't get to address it on this panel, so that would be a good one.
Oh, okay. So from last one. Okay, perfect. So I was on the right track. So this is for you because I guess you're the running for that position. So let me read it again. So anonymous attendee says, Ms. Evans, as previously stated by the other candidates, some students have complained about the lack of funding that organizations receive per semester. If you are elected as treasurer, how do you plan to represent our voices to other leaders at Bloomfield College, and what are some of your ideas to help increase the funding that student organizations receive? Yeah, I forgot we answered that last time. Great question for you. So what do you say to that if you're elected? What would you be doing?
A way of helping the funding for, a way of helping the funding for student organizations is definitely fundraising. I mean, everyone has to be willing to be able to fundraise and make sure students are actually coming out and making sure the fundraising is interesting for the students. As I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of fundraising programs that are repetitive. So I think we should think outside the box to be able to fundraise more so that we can build up the funding. What was the first part?
What would be one of the out-of-box things that you would plan to do? Have you given that some thought?
I haven't really given that any thought yet, but further thinking, just different programs just different fundraising programs that haven't been presented yet to basically get the students more engaged to participate in that.
I would like to just transition that question over to the Greek Council since that's in here. Ms. Thomas, who says Greek Council does not obtain enough funding, it's saying, finances from BCSG to hold great programs that can show the true meaning of Greek life to the Bloomfield College community. What will you do to manage the finances so that there is enough for every organization to host programs that students want to see? Ms. Edwards, could you speak to that?
What was the last part of the question?
It says, what will you do to manage the finances, I guess, differently, so that there is enough for every organization to host programs that students want to see?
Basically making sure the finances are spent in a, I guess like a great way, like just making sure that the money isn't being spent where it doesn't need to be. So that every organization on campus can have enough funding to do what they need to do with it rather than it just be being spent on something that it doesn't need to be spent.
How do you see yourself accomplishing that?
Just basically making sure that everyone is coming together to make sure the finances are being spent together. I feel like my input is important, but I'm not the only person who would be in charge of the funding on campus, even though I would play an important role. So hearing my thoughts along with everyone else's thoughts on the committee, also in charge of finances, would be a great way to make sure the funding is being spent properly.
We appreciate that. Lisa, any other questions from the chat? I see a few more that you would like to direct to a candidate.
Yeah, I like one. So I think I'm saying this name correctly. Samaya. I don't think the J is pronounced, but if I'm wrong, Samaya, I apologize. So Samaya wants to know, as students and student leaders, how would you ensure other student leaders are properly trained? Yes, cross, what you call, a lot of organizations have been trying to work on those kind of things where people are cross-trained,
Yeah.
trained in certain jobs where suppose this person's sick, you can pick up the ball and do the job. So everything's seamless. There's no missing of any services. So that's a great question. I'll repeat it again so all of you can answer that. We'll start with Tyrone. As students and student leaders, how would you ensure other student leaders are properly trained? And they gave some examples like new presidents of clubs, organizations, i.e. ... So we'll start with you, Tyrone, as the president. How would you make sure that in your absence or something like that, other students are trained as leaders to make sure everything still works and happens seamlessly?
Okay, so that's a really great question.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was reviewing the responsibilities of my position, I noticed that I was able to, I have the ability to select and appoint a group of individuals that will be like a part of a committee that would help to like support me in doing my job as the secretary of BCSG. So in doing so, I would hand select students that I would go off of based off like of recommendations from professors and active like campus leaders that would best believe like the students would be the best fitting for the position. And when it comes time for organization training, I would create like an activity in which I would like mandate that every leader of an organization to attend it. So the vice president, the secretary, the treasurer to come out and actively learn how to like fulfill their positions. Because I've seen it from experience that there are a lot of students who are actively like confused about what they have to do and what they do not have to do and how to like actively be engaged in the organization. And I would just be sure to like have the presidents and the vice presidents of the organization, especially to attend these meetings so that they will be able to like vocalize the exact duties of these different organizational officers so that there will be like no confusion. And I know for myself within Show Your Colors, we were discussing about training about 5 individuals to take on the position of being able to like be hands-on directly assisting us with like event planning and whatnot in the case that either myself, the vice president, or Marvin or the secretary or treasurer are unable to like fulfill our duties. We would have these backup individuals to like step in and to be able to like fulfill whatever duties required to be fulfilled. So I would make sure that there's an established meeting to go over what needs to be understood, and if there's any confusion, I would like correct it right then and there so that people would have like an idea of what needs to be done.
Excellent.
Kyle, I want you to take that on too. Again, so Maya asked, as students and student leaders, how would you ensure other student leaders are properly trained? You know, you're running for president, you know, to make sure that there's a cross training in your position if you're elected, to make sure things run smoothly, seamlessly, and balls don't get dropped along the way. It does happen.
It does. What I can say, I would start off with group activities. Rather, in some months, everyone part of BCSG organizations, and also within myself as if I hopefully likely to win, that we all have something where we all could sit here and learn from and exactly resemble how paperwork and stuff is supposed to be turning, how we're supposed to go about getting in touch with this person or sending out an email. Because a lot of people, like when I was president of Team Infinite, I have noticed when I first started, I didn't know how to do not one bit of thing. I just had to figure it out on my own and how to do it. But until I met others around faculty and people inside CSLE and told me how to go about it, that made me change my ways of how I was acting as a president. It's not that form me better as a leader and to prepare others also that was in Team Infinite to come up after me.
Okay, great. Tyler?
I feel like students should be trained and walk through step by step before taking on like any position, because when you first start a job, you don't just get thrown into it. You're trained so that you know what you're doing. So I feel as though like if students are trained first to know the duties that they're supposed to fulfill, it will go smoothly. Like me being president of the National Society of Leadership and Success, I foreshadowed the president who was before me, and they allowed me to basically see the roles that I had to fulfill for the new students who are being inducted. Like me being president, I'm the face of the organization, even though I have other e-board members to help. I'm the president of the org, so students are coming to me for answers, and I have to be able to answer the questions that they have. So as long as everyone is trained for that position they're willing to seek, I feel like everything will go smoothly, and yeah, everything will go smoothly, and they will know what they need to do.
We're going to prepare to bring the remaining candidates back on. And as we do that, I do want to put up another question that's in the question and answer from some of our student leaders and students. It's good to see student leaders here representing their groups and asking really great questions. What did you say, Lisa?
I think those questions are amazing. They're great. So even if we can't get to all of them here, you can kind of have the candidates answer them at some point and post them, or figure out how to field the questions for them to still answer them. That'll be great. The ones we weren't able to ask.
Yes, I think, and there's still some great questions left, and I want to try to bring some actual students.
We can't get to them all, yeah.
Ask questions directly, and maybe we can see what students are looking for in terms of from their leadership. Voters are the experts, correct?
That's right.
So let's see, Ms. Fowl, would you be willing to come on and ask this question about the campus-wide program? And I think that that is a really, really, really good question. Let's see if she's willing to accept our—
I want to be anonymous. Yes, what you're saying. Okay.
our invite here. Let's see.
Okay, bring them on in.
Participants, here we go. So I gotta look up.
Participants.
So we're teaching this in real time, right? Okay, so we just promoted Ms. Fowl, who represents the Greek Council and Greek organization. She's a Zeta, sister of Zeta Phi Beta Incorporated. I'm gonna see if she's willing to come on, and I'm gonna bring the other candidates on too. So we just sent her an invite.
Okay, great.
Can you hear me?
Yes, how are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
I'm good. I think that that question is a really, really good question. Who would you like to pose it to, or would you like all candidates to ask? Answer.
I think I'll pose the question to Miss Edwards and Destiny. And Tyrone, Miss Edwards, Destiny, and Tyrone. So the question I had asked, I know previously BCSG makes executive decisions. An example would be for the barbecues and programs. So I know like they'll make the plan and just present it to the student body. Would you guys be opposed to opening up different committees for these large scale events? Because sometimes the student body, they don't feel involved. BCSG usually just tells us what we should do and how it's going to be done, and we really don't feel involved sometimes. So would you guys be opposed to opening up committees for these large scale events?
Can I answer that one? Oh, somebody else going?
Whoever wants to go first can go.
Oh, I'll go first.
Okay.
So that was my biggest thing. I always wanted to be involved in planning these events because it was a lot of things, like a lot of repetitive things. Since I've been here my 3 years, like all the programs, all these campus-wide programs have always like been relatively like the same. So I would definitely be open to letting people serve on the committee. I want to hear everybody's ideas. Like I know when I went to Montclair State University for an event, they had like a foam party for their barbecue. And I was like, wow, like I wish we could bring that to Bloomfield, because like, yeah, you see like the pop-up like games and stuff, and yeah, that's cool, but I want to see something different. So I would definitely be open to letting people decide that and letting people hear their opinions about it.
I completely agree 100% with Ms. Rogers. I would definitely be open to involvement with other committees, because I believe that if you have like more people inputting ideas, that you'll be able to like foster new ideas that would be able to be implemented at these events. And if you have like a broad array of ideas to choose from, then I believe that improvements will be made during the process, because I have noticed myself also that there has been like a repetition of events all carrying the same things, and it's just like I just want to see change. So by opening it up to like different student body populations, I believe that that change will be made.
I definitely agree with Destiny and Tyrone. It can be a bit boring just being told what to do all the time. So I would definitely be open to adding other committees so that we can hear everyone's thoughts and ideas of how we should go about the big events on campus. It's good to hear everyone's thoughts and ideas, and you can never go wrong by adding other people's thoughts and ideas to the equation as well. So I would definitely be open to doing that.
Thank you guys for answering my question. You had some great answers, and I'm looking forward to next semester.
Great question, Samaya. I actually posed one of your other questions earlier to them as well. So you're on here paying really good attention. I like that. You're involved. Excellent.
Yes, I'm running for the Greek Council president, so it would be a close connection, yeah.
Oh, great. We just mentioned collaboration earlier, so that's perfect. And spread the word about the upcoming election because it's extremely important.
Yes, we'll do. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I think I want, Cal, do you have any feedback on that question too as the president? What are you looking for in terms of planning around Spring Formal and Spring Fest? And to know, just to note too, to all the candidates and definitely to the student leadership, we've already made some changes in that regard, and we really are waiting for the new. We're really looking forward to the student leadership of the, pardon me, we're getting some interference. Student leadership of the campus to get elected before we proceed, but we did see the need to take Spring Formal and Spring Fest candidates and make that a part of the campus-wide planning initiatives that CSLE oversees, where we get not just students involved, but we also have staff and faculty giving their opinions involved, because these events are for everybody. But provided that the Formal and the Spring Fest, that energy, even the leadership retreats, should be really student-driven and student-planned. Kyle, what is your plans in terms of working with CSLE and bringing about campus-wide inclusion on these different planning committees?
First, I would like to say I agree with the three other candidates and what they said. We do need to have these type of planning committees, and we should not have it as a dictatorship to just present in front of a BCSG meeting.
Right.
We should have everyone feel valued within making these decisions, because these decisions dictate how is the school year for us going to be. The students really liking it here? Like example, the retention rate. Would I keep students involved? Because if the students don't like it here, they're going to run off to MSU, Rutgers, wherever the case may be. So we have to find ways within these planning committees to have everyone have a voice, no matter if you're not a part of any club and you're just a normal CAT student, for example. Just anything of that nature, you know. We have to make sure it's just not a dictatorship, and it can't just be held from just one e-board. It should be held amongst everyone. If they live in Clee, Spruce, you name it. It's just everyone need to be involved, especially commuters.
I think that, that was a very good question. This is a good discussion because it's important not just to get students involved now to elect you and get involved once you get elected, but it's important. So retention is important, but it's also important for students to buy into what the college is doing, because I went to Seton Hall University, and when I graduated from there, I am not a part of the alumni anything. I don't give them any money. I feel disconnected. I don't care. Although I'm poor, I can't afford it. But if I had money, the amount of money if I had Oprah money, I wouldn't give them a dime. So also be mindful as you're taking on this role, who's going to remain a part and plugged into this organization so that other students can come behind you and benefit. Would you still continue to give money to the organization 20 years after you graduate? Every student should want to invest in the organization. So that's something just to keep in mind, not just for retention, but when folks graduate, how is that feeling when they graduate? What feeling did you create for them when they graduated, so they can want to still continue to not just give money, but give resources or whatever when they're gone, because the school still needs that kind of commitment as well, not just, from the state and the government, right?
Right.
So if you have something to share, that's just a point. So if you have something to share about that, let me know. But it wasn't a question, it was just a point. So if you have anything to share in reference to your ideas about that, fine. If not, it wasn't really a question.
Destiny, Michaela, and Cal, what are your responses to that? Let's start with Destiny. Any feedback to the point that Ms. Durden made?
Beyond.
Can you actually repeat that?
No, I was saying he brought a good point up about, the things you're doing at the school now. If you get elected, would be very good for students to feel connected like a family and to retain students. You don't want students leaving, Bloomfield College and going somewhere else to finish. But you also want to maintain relationships with students when they're long gone and they're grown, doing other things. You want them to be able to stay plugged in, bring resources to the school, give money when they can. You might have a lawyer in the mix or a person who's rich and they don't give back later. So it's not a question you must answer, but if you have any ideas, any of you around, what are your ideas to make sure students remain plugged in long after they graduate? Terrance Bankston did it for years. He remained plugged in because you're still going to need alum to stay plugged in to keep that school viable. Any ideas or thoughts? If not, that's fine.
I think the biggest thing is if we want alumni to come back and invest money in the school, we have to make their Bloomfield College memories last. And we have to make sure we put on good programs. We have to make sure we give them positive vibes and all of that to make sure that they do come back. Because like me, I'm trying to be a lawyer. And yes, I'm going to be making a lot of money if I do succeed in doing that. So it's like, I want someone to be like me and want to come back and donate to the college. So I have to make sure and try to encourage them to get involved and create memories. Because if you look back on Bloomfield College, like, oh yeah, I got my degree there, right. That's cool. But if you look back on Bloomfield College, like, yeah, like I met some great people. I went to some great events. Like I made memories. Like you remember when this happened, you remember when this happened. Like when you have that like inspiration, you have all those memories of Bloomfield College, then you're gonna come back to donate in the future.
Michaela, what's your thoughts? You're going to go off and be a track star and bring some of that money back to Bloomfield?
When you get that big endorsement from Nike, we want that Nike money.
Maybe. My options are still all out there. But right now, I'm focusing on school, of course. And I definitely agree with what everyone said. Alumni are a huge part. Like as I've seen already, I've already connected with a lot of alumni from different events, and even the webinars that we were in, we got to connect with great alumni. And I feel like if as of right now, I know that the senior class that's graduating, the number of senior that started here as freshmen to now, they have decreased because a lot of people didn't feel connected to the school. So I feel like if you host meetings or events, you have to grab everyone's attention in every single way. Everyone grasp something different out of every single thing that is posted or shared. So if you just try and make people feel connected and make people feel like they belong here, they will definitely stay for the long run.
Mr. Smith and Ms. Edwards, the Institutional Advancement Office and Alumni Association, how do you plan to work with them to host programs for alumni and engage with the alumni population as well as a current student government member? Ms. Edwards and then Mr. Smith.
Just like Destiny said, like in order for us to connect with the alumni, we have to make sure their memories last. So as long as their memories last and we can basically grasp their attention back to where they graduated from, I feel like it wouldn't be a problem pulling them back in towards the student activities that we have on campus. So.
Al?
With working with the alumni committee, first thing we have to make sure is that they was fully involved before they come back, and make sure that they have had the best 4 years that they had. So when they come back to the school, they are able to embrace the stories of how it was for them. And now on our end, we have to make sure that to the students that are there right now, that's starting off as freshmen, that they are having the best time as possible, not just on a fun level, but on the level of education, and make sure the professors are providing them with the best education as possible. And with faculty, making sure the cafeteria is well for the students, make sure everything overall, because you don't know what could come out of Bloomfield. And as you can see, there's a lot of alumni that became very successful from Bloomfield College. So to answer that question, you must keep a good connection with the alumni, and we must plan with them thoroughly on certain programs that probably used to go on back within the 90s or the early 2000s, whatever took in place at Bloomfield College before our time. Because some of them events that maybe had took place back then could be very effective now. You know, example for you, Terrance, you went to Bloomfield College. You visualized and you made all these changes when you was there. And, you know, for you to come back and see like, wow, what can we do to implement right here? That's what we need from other alumni. And just overall have the balance of what's good now and what wouldn't work from that time period when they were here to now, you know, because everybody's social media.
What suggestions would you make to Nicole Quinn and our Vice President of Institutional Advancement in terms of ideas you have as a current student? You say, but you know what, I think this would be a good idea for us to collaborate on. Any ideas around that in terms of bridging the gap and engaging more alumni, even in a mentorship way with current students?
Yes. First thing,
Nicole Quinn is an active Vice President of Alumni Management. Advancement.
No, she's over the alumni, correct?
Oh yeah, that's right. She is.
Yes. But to your point, President Evans, Vice President Sarah is over institutional advancement, and our alumni office falls under that, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so those are two individuals you can talk to, Cal. You have Nicole, and then you have Vice President Sarah Lax. Have you had an opportunity to meet any of them?
Yes. It was the beginning of the semester. I was wondering about them also. And now, with this is going on a lot, it's starting to make me invest more time into actually getting to know these people instead of just walking right past and having a 2-minute conversation. Just overall analyze what they do within the alumni committee and who can they bring back and who is really want to be involved with the students going on for years to come. Because it's all about writing your own story in a way.
What about you, Mr. Fernandez? Any ideas or recommendations that you'll give to your colleagues or initiatives that you'll maybe take on your own to engage and support our institutional advancement office and also our alumni arm of that?
I know I personally had a discussion with Ms. Quinn because like we've been having a discussion about forming donations for the creation of a scholarship for LGBTQ students that would be incoming freshmen. And I would definitely try my hardest to find a way to actually make to make sure that students have memories that they will forever like hold deepest to their heart after leaving the institution, because your engagement with your alma mater all depends on like your experience that you had while attending the schools. So I know if we were to like implement new ideas and such as like student activities, or even being able to organize events in which we will be able to like expose people to internship opportunities, because I know after like speaking to a few companions of mine, they're actually unsure of how to obtain like an internship in their major. And the career development has been doing an amazing job, but it's also, I believe that there's although I know it's the lack of like motivation sometimes plays like a role in students being able to like seek an internship, because they're fearful of actually like engaging themselves, putting themselves out there to be able to be seen and heard by different organizations, different companies and whatnot. But at the same time, it's like, I believe that we have an important role in actually being able to like create that push for students. So I believe that we should, BCSG as a whole should come together and draft like various opportunities that would be able to actually like strike a memorable factor within these students so that they will forever be grateful for like attending Bloomfield College.
Cal, just some 3 questions that we can knock out from students. One is for Cal. Being a president of Team Infinite, and that's the organization, Lisa, you were referencing that I actually founded years ago. And so I have a lot of questions even off the screen for Cal to make sure he's ready. So I love this question, Ms. Thomas. The student, Ms. Thomas, been on fire today with our questions. Being president of TI to
Yep, yes.
being president of student government, how are you going to handle that big jump?
How I'm going to handle that big jump? Well, first thing I
That's
would
a good
like to say, if I am elected, is not going to just be about Kyle and Team Infinite. It's not going to be Kyle. It's going to be about the BCSG, because I have to oversee over all the other organizations around the campus. And I have to understand that everyone is going to have to just play their part, whether or not I'm up there or not. I still have the job to do as president, and I can't let what my past memories with the student organization have done, which I will always have love for Team Infinite, but I must embrace every other organization to reach up to that caliber, so everyone can have a good time instead of just me thinking about, oh, well, since I'm the president of BCSG, why do I always give TI this? No, it's going to be for TI, BSU, show your colors, negativity opposed. It's going to be for everyone involved. It's not going to just be me focused on Team Infinite. And I have to make that big jump in order for the campus as a whole to come together instead of just focus on one specific organization.
Destiny, can Kyle make the big jump?
Yeah, I think he can make the jump.
What do you think, Tyrone? Can Kyle make the jump? What do you guys think about the colleagues? Can he make the jump? Ms. Edwards, Mr. Fernandez.
In my personal opinion, I believe that the transition is tremendous, and I'm not discrediting him as like a good like leader or anything, but I believe that there will be the need for like support, because as he mentioned earlier, when he did like gain presidency of Team Infinite, he was not informed of how to like complete the paperwork that is associated with terms of like being president for the organization. So I believe that there will be like the requirement of support as a whole. And I believe that for everyone, for each of us, like within our position, because although I've held like position of secretary for an organization in the past for 2 consecutive years, being secretary of BCSG and being secretary of a student organization are 2 completely different things, because the tasks and the duties that, and the obligations that I have increased in a like vast manner. And to be president of a student organization and to be president of like the student organizations for the campus as a whole, that is a tremendous jump that will require the support of other individuals in order to like be an effective leader. Because it's like every leader of like a country always has a group of people who are there in the background supporting him, telling him how to like be effective, telling him how to make sure that he fulfills the tasks and duties, he or she fulfill the tasks and the duties that are associated with their role in order for them to be like an influential leader.
That brings me to this last question that I think I see here by anonymous attendee. They've asked a couple of questions, but this is a good one. It ties in. So did any of you happen to get any advice previously from the old student government individuals in those roles and learn from their experience? So we can start with you, Tyler. Did you talk to the previous or the previous treasurer, the current treasurer, and then we'll go down the line.
No, I haven't actually, but I would love to. I'm open to doing that though.
What's holding you back? Why haven't you thus far?
I guess since we haven't like reached out to one another, been a lot going on, transitioning to online from school. I guess we just haven't been able to connect, but I'm open to doing that though.
Okay. Okay. Kyle?
No, I have not. And I could honestly say that. But one thing I could say that I looked up to them because they were in positions that hopefully one day I am able to be in. And if the opportunity presented itself for me to have an opportunity to actually get to know what were they doing before then, instead of me just reading on paper of what a president should have to do or what a treasurer is supposed to stand by, the case may be. That's pretty much it. Everything was really self-taught, and it was given from faculty and alumni who actually taught me how to do certain things around the campus and how to run the student organization as a whole.
Tyrone? Have you reached out to previous secretaries or the current secretary? I mean, well, you're the current, I think you're the current previous secretary. I think you've been running, I think you said you've been in the position a couple of times. I'm not for sure if it's the same organization or this one, but have you reached out to previous secretaries for the role, the position you're running for now, Tyrone?
In terms of BCSG, I actually have had a conversation with Ms. Patterson, who's currently serving as the secretary for BCSG, and she was able to like inform me about the duties and the tasks that entails within the role itself, and also for myself, like I've had interactions with like I've actually had an interaction with every single like BCSG current member this semester, whether it be Driana, whether it be Kyle. And even in the past presidents, I've had interactions with Ms. Kayla Grace, who was the BCSG president for 2017 when I first came in as an incoming freshman, and Mark Tremble, who was BCSG president for 2018. And it's like, I've been able to have conversations with these individuals, and I've actually learned about the various roles, the various tasks that they've had to like complete while fulfilling these positions. And they've informed me that although yes, it is at times strenuous and whatnot, but it's not something that will be impossible to do. But there is like a level of commitment that has to be committed. There's a level of commitment that has to be like in place in order to like successfully fulfill the duties.
Well,
My last question. Well, let me ask this real quick. Just give me 20 seconds to answer. So my last question is, in 20 seconds, each of you tell me, if you don't win, will you stay plugged in, and how? Just 20 seconds.
Yes, most definitely.
We can start with you, Kyle. We can start with you, Kyle. Sorry.
My apologies, Tyrone.
Okay.
First, I would like to say, and she said 20 seconds, right? So look, yes, most definitely, I will stay plugged in as much as possible to know wherever I'm doing around the campus, to figure out what can we just do overall as a school to better it overall just for us.
Okay, Tyrone.
It's Michaela, Destiny, Tyrone, and then Ms. Edwards.
I keep forgetting the whole thing came back. My bad. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yes, Tyrone.
Michaela, Destiny, Tyrone, and then Ms. Edwards.
Oh, my bad. In that order. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
In order of the ballot in my head, Lisa. You don't know that. That's all.
Go ahead.
I would definitely stay plugged in, because as I said before, I was already part of the BCSG Senate. So I would definitely continue to work with the Senate and learn from them, because I feel like that's a great place to start when you want to be involved on campus. That's a great place to see how it is to be able to vote. And it's basically like your own, your own democracy. So you get to see what's going on. So I would definitely stay and be a part of what's going on.
Destiny. And before Destiny comments, just know if I sent you a start your video request, it's because President Evans loves to see the students' faces, including yours too, Marcus. I know you're not a student. So that's where the request is coming from, okay? Destiny, go on to you.
Oh my gosh. All right. So even if I'm not elected, like there's still many options, and that's for all of us, whether someone gets written in and they win. There's senates, there's class officers, there's organizations. So there's a lot of ways to get involved, and I'll definitely pick one of those options, even if I'm not elected, because I'm gonna be involved. I'm gonna make a change.
Tyrone and then Ms. Edwards.
Anyone who personally knows me know I'm extremely vocal about my opinions and my wants and needs on campus. So I'm definitely going to remain actively participating within to have a voice. And I know my role in Share Colors, like we're also still trying to like implement new ideas and like seek new changes. So I'm definitely going to continue with that, regardless of whether I win or lose my candidacy for secretary. And it's like, I want to see a change on campus, so I'm not going to stop until I see the change that I desire.
I would definitely stay plugged in, because me being used to be me being used to being a reserved person, I actually like being outgoing and being involved. So this is not the only way to be involved at my school. So I'll definitely find other opportunities to be involved on campus, and it's not a reason to pull back from what's going on. It's a reason to pull forward and try to find other opportunities on campus. So I will definitely stay plugged in.
I thank you all you guys for, first of all, stepping up to the plate. It's not easy to do this, even what's going on. I always say with student leaders, something that's been challenging in my role is understanding that, one, you still are students. And so you have needs, you have concerns, you have frustrations that every other student has, and then yet you have this responsibility of being a leader. And so there's a lot to say about your character. There's a lot to say about the passion and commitment you have for not just Bloomfield College, but just bettering yourselves. And so I use a term when I train parent leaders to say, stay clocked in, meaning even when it's after hours, we got to sometimes stay clocked in, right, Dr. Evans?
Oh, most definitely.
Right. Right.
Any final words for the leadership team of the next year?
Most definitely. I've been waiting. You know, I've been sitting here listening and trying to multitask and do other emails. So you see me going in and out. Because this is like my home now, sitting in this chair and doing Zoom meetings. But you know what I've heard today though is got my mind thinking as far as leadership on campus and student leadership specifically. You know, it kind of saddens me that so many of you said that you had to kind of figure it out on your own. That's unacceptable. And so I'm going to be working with the student affairs and other components on campus to see about developing a student leadership program. I'm sure we probably have one and maybe I don't know about it as far as orientation, but it's an orientation and I'm thinking of that's going to not just be for your specific organization, but just leadership period. What's your leadership style? This will take you not only with dealing with your specific organization on campus, but in life. In the jobs that you're pursuing, those types of things, whether it be a week-long or year-long leadership program, is something I'm going to work with and help facilitate myself because I know the importance of it. And we want to make sure that you are as prepared as possible to not only, again, lead on campus, but lead in the world. Because we need more diversity in all types of settings. And we want to make sure when you leave Bloomfield College, you can say you were prepared to talk to anybody. I always say, they put the pants on the same way I do, I'm not afraid to speak to them. So I want to make sure you feel that way as well. And we're going to help get you there. And some of you already are at that point. You know, like I said, I know Tyrone and Kyle, y'all have been in and out of my office already. So, you know, being shy is not an issue for you. But again, you having to facilitate some of these things and processes on campus on your own or try to figure it out, that's not acceptable to me. So again, thank you for saying yes. You know, I'm always here for you. And we're going to just get this rolling for 2021.
Nice.
Yes, very excited. So you guys, please be mindful of the rest of the calendar. You have the ability to use Zoom too. We have license for you. All you have to do is fill out one of the event registration forms like you would do for an event and request a webinar license. I'll send it to you. You can host what we call virtual coffee clutches. So coffee clutches are small meetings with people of your community that you want to share your candidacy with. I think that that's important because the votes you cultivate now, you're going to be able to turn those over into on the ground, boots on the ground support for you in the fall, people that you can call on to help with committees and different things like that. We're going to continue to put out some literature. We're going to create individual pieces for you and utilize your profiles that you did in your application and send those out to the student groups. If you send me information that you want blasted out to all students or to the community, we'll approve it and then we'll have that done. If it's a certain day you want it done on, let me know that in the email and we'll work that out. Don't disappear. CSLE is your virtual campaign managers. We're here to support you and your campaign efforts and give you advice. This group is going to be a part of something very special because we're also planning a virtual inauguration for you. We want to show you treat this process seriously so that you know that you have to take it seriously. And so June 1st, when our president, Dr. Evans, will be celebrating her 1-year anniversary, Dr. Evans? So 1 year down, so many more to go, that you guys will be getting sworn in virtually on that day too. So we want you to have your families around. We're going to send you some nice swag, BC items so that you can be pumped up virtually over the summer and helping us out. And hopefully we can get you back on campus sooner than later. But we are not going to abandon you in your leadership roles. We're going to allow you to hit the virtual air or virtual ground running come June 1st. So if you are willing to be around for the summer and engage, we are all going to be here for you. We're going to be hosting trainings. We are doing cross trainings with the resident advisor staff. Thankful for Marcus Leak being on as well. He's counseling, coaching first year students, but at the same time tuned and locked in, and again, staying clocked in, right? Being aware of what students are talking about and caring about the leadership here. So staff cares and faculty cares, and that's why they tuned in today. You guys are the leadership of the campus. You're the voices of the campus. A lot of responsibility that comes on with that, even in these challenging times. So I just thank you, and I'm very proud of everybody. I look forward to the next week and a half. Don't forget, election is May 8th and all the way through May 10th. So 3 days ideally of campaigning, from Friday at noon, May 8th, until Sunday at noon. We'll close the polls. You guys will get an opportunity to see a sample ballot as well. Lisa, thank you for joining us. Any final words from you as well?
Here, I have a campaign strategy for you guys that's, on the ground, but not literally. At this point, everybody's winding down with their classes. If I were all of you, I would hit up every possible instructor and ask them, can you come onto their Zoom as a speaker and get 5 or 10 minutes to talk to their class before the class starts or sometime in the middle, and invite yourself to be a speaker, and do that last push to reach out to students. And they're in the Zooms anyway. It's not taking up time. That would be something very different. No candidates doing that, speaking in the class via Zoom. That's what I would do, and tell them what your plans are and to vote for you. Those are marching orders if you choose to take them on. Yep.
Excellent advice. That
Teachers
was
don't want to
advice
let
that
you on the Zoom.
Some of our former presidents gave them the same advice this past Saturday at our candidates training. And I think they got a lot of good information from there. I want to thank Senator Teresa Ruiz for joining in and give us some of her advice as well. Again, guys, thank you. I'm going to make little short video clips out of some of your responses that you can use to promote on social media as well. All right, so I'll send it to you guys for approval.
And tag me in those so I can share them as well.
I will. Thank you guys again, Dr. Evans.
All righty, take care.
Nice meeting you all. Bye-bye.
Meeting you too.
Thank you.